It took just 24 hours for us to lose control of the city. Tonight, Gotham's relying on one man to save us all.
Today, I'll be playing as Toji Fushiguro, the Stain of the Zenin clan, who has no cursed energy but an amazing hand-to-hand fighter. Finding the truth about his son, destroying the Zenin clan, and attaining heavenly restriction are the main objectives. Also, in order to make the run more entertaining, I'll add special chests around the city containing gear for every advancement I make as a sorcerer. I spawned in, and as you can see, I'm playing in a new map compared to what I usually play. Should make things more interesting. I pick what clearly says Toji Fushiguro as my player character and get his clothes. Here I have a starter chest containing an extra set of Toji clothes and Playful Cloud as a balanced weapon to start with. I put my Toji clothes on and check out my buffs I was given, like resistance, haste, health boost, and strength. I also have player animations now, so here are some of the animations with Playful Cloud. When I dodge, I also do backflips, which are fun to do. The mod pack I'm playing with also has a ton of other mods like Binding Vows, barrier techniques, and domain amplification, which are all very interesting. While exploring the city for the first time, I stumble across a grade 3's Cursed Spirit and advance my fame levels from 4 to 3. Then I find Yuji Tadori, who I try to go up against to see how well I do against him, and we exchange blows for a while, but I end up being defeated. Exploring a little more, I find this abandoned building with a strange entrance and see that a domain was recently broken. So I tried to find who summoned it. I couldn't find them, but I find this weak Cursed Spirit in order to gain higher levels of strength later in my run. Talking about running, I dashed throughout the whole city looking for a battle because nighttime was finally upon us and curses were about to be unleashed everywhere. I defeat a couple of low-level curses and gain the title of grade 4 sorcerer. Those with small amounts of cursed energy are pretty weak if they don't have complete heavenly restrictions, so for now I'm going to have to defeat a ton of these weak curses in the meantime. While on the rooftop scouting for an opponent, I see Sukuna briefly run past the 3rd floor of a building and decide I'm not gonna fight him right now because I'm too weak. Look, it's not being scared or anything, but Toji himself wouldn't start a fight he didn't think he would win, which was pointless because after I backflip off the building in a majestic manner, I encounter a curse which I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce and shoots a blue fire at me and takes me down in a few shots. I clearly was gonna need a lot more training before I can achieve the strongest version of myself, so I searched the city for curses I could take on, and I find this huge curse in the distance called Mother. I run up to it and attack it with a couple barrages which do a good amount of damage. With a few more of those, I took it down and advanced to fame level 2. This warm Cursed Spirit sprouts out the ground and does a ton of damage, sending me flying away. I noticed that if I crouch, these red particles appear under me. Then I notice my player character heals pretty fast when I do this, which makes sense because Toji is an assassin, so this addition is great, especially considering he can't use reverse curse technique. So I heal and head back into the battle and defeat the worm Cursed Spirit. The sun is finally rising, which means the terrors of the night are finally over for now. I find this massive crater in the city, which was pretty cool, and check my achievement list to see where I'm currently at. I rush across the highway looking for more curses to gain strength before the sun sets again, and break a couple of windows looking for curses in buildings, and use the cool backflip move to navigate the city's terrain. I find a building with a staircase that goes underground and make sure to check each level for enemies. After going down all flights of stairs, I find a cool underground tunnel system under the whole city, which is cool considering this isn't a map but naturally generated through the Lost Cities mod. Sadly, I didn't find anything down there, but once I headed back to the surface, I found some curses to gain more levels and advance to a grade 3 sorcerer. Shortly after that, I get attacked by a ton of cursed spirits, which to clarify is good, because I need them to level up. But this curse was very interesting because he had a weird animation, which some of you might know what I'm talking about, but it looks like a hungry hippo. So I make sure to defeat it right away. This temple was located in the middle of the city, which reminded me of the Zenin clan's base. So as Toji, who has a rough history with the clan, I head there immediately. Under the structure though, I find this weird character who for some reason seems familiar. Being Toji, of course, I engage him in combat and he summons a Shikigami to defeat me. While I lost, I don't feel any anger towards losing to them. A strange feeling for sure. I fight Panda, but because I'm still a low grade level, I lost. I climbed up the temple-like structure, and before going in, I noticed a curse called Crow, which was not what I was expecting, but we start exchanging blows. With a little trouble, I defeat him. I check around the temple and find a couple of weapons stored in chests like the Naginata and Ogi sword. Now it's time to leave, and before I do that, I struggle with this really complex door. After that, I find Kasumi Miwa, who is extremely weak, letting me advance to a semi-grade 2 sorcerer, letting me know I was one step closer to reaching my full potential. This very strange dog attacks me and I take it down. I explore a couple of buildings looking for a cursed spirit to fight, and after beating a couple of them, I find Kento Nanami, who is a grade 1 sorcerer. And to say the least, I am extremely outmatched. He takes out a full row of hearts with one attack, and with that, I was defeated. Then I find Suguru Geto, who summons a ton of curses which bombard me and take me down. I go back for round 2, but he was nowhere to be found. Under the city, there's another layer of underground with a singular minecart track area. I assumed curses would spawn here, but I really couldn't find any. I checked my achievement list for progress, and later this cool curse with a samurai outfit was in the distance. I approached it and I turned around for a second, just to find it was right behind me. With a couple of barrage attacks, I was able to do decent damage and make sure to guard attacks, which also healed me in the process. So I'm able to take down the curse called Wander. Mastering Simple Domain is usually a good thing, but it's not this time since I have no cursed energy. In the distance, I see Hajime Kashima, who's pretty strong. I approach him and with like 3 attacks, he defeats me. On the bright side though, I find the cursed spirit and exercise it, which drops an insanely cool katana. It's called the Split Soul Katana, which is one of the weapons Toji uses in the anime. In the mod, it's really strong, and I'm lucky I was able to pick it up so early. Now, to test it out, I see an enemy in the building and backflip towards him, and I engage the Grasshopper Curse Spirit. The battle starts pretty one-sided with me doing a ton of damage, but they do a pretty good amount themselves. The barrage on this weapon does a good amount of DPS, so I'm able to take him down and advance to level 1. Scouting once more, I see a curse in the distance. Turns out, it was one of the death painting wounds, which uses blood manipulation. But with a few attacks from the Split Soul Katana, I'm able to subjugate the death painting wound. I find Panda and slam him through the glass of the building, hitting him with a ton of barrages. And with that, I get the achievement for beating him and I become a grade 2 sorcerer, which means I get a special reward, which you'll see in a bit. I find the principal of Jujutsu High and hit him with a couple barrages which send him flying. With a few knockback attacks and regular ones, I take the principal down, which I was really happy about, so I did some backflips. I guess seeing the principal made me decide to check out the high school, so in Toji fashion, I tried to enter the school unnoticed. In the school, I find the special grade cursed spirit Jogo and decide to fight him, even though it may have not been the best idea. We go back and forth with him using fire to send me flying, and my katana doing a pretty good amount of damage. I try to block the attacks he sends to me, but they do good damage as well. You're probably wondering why I'm shifting and not moving around as much. It's because the healing from shifting is the only thing keeping me alive. And just as I'm about to go heal, I find Jogo on the other side of the door and he pushes me into a corner, defeating me. I run back to school hoping to find him, but he's gone. And the whole building's on fire. I noticed there's a lot of curses around this area, and I find this weird curse I've never seen before, called Haniko. She attacks me but doesn't do much damage, and I think I have them trapped in a corner, but they do the strange door technique, which summons a huge curse called Killer, and they do a good amount of damage, but they are pretty weak to my attacks. After I defeat Killer, like 30 curses attack me from all sides, but my katana managed to take them down. Stunned by what happened, I stood there in shock, but there were no signs of the curse. Then the curse called Killer appears again and makes my health really low. Me and Haniko go blow for blow again, but they still have a ton of health left. And after I take down Killer and other curses over and over again, which felt like over 100 times, I'm about to trap Haniko in a corner and land the final hit. Finally, I defeat Haniko and it gave me the achievement Fame Special because I took down a special grade curse spirit, meaning I reached the highest level of fame. Climbing up the building, I find Ao Toto, who is pretty strong, and then I go up another floor and find Hanami, who seems to be pretty weak already from their fight with Toto. Being Toji, I take advantage of the situation and take out the weaker opponent, making me a semi-grade 1 sorcerer. Toto is left and I use knockback attack trying to send him flying. He tries to use his stun attack, but it doesn't stun me completely, giving me the upper hand and lets me take Toto down. I heal from the fight, check my progress, defeat the grasshopper guy, and make my way towards my next major opponent. This curse called Max Elephant and Nui don't really do much damage, so I take them down. This grasshopper guy seems to have a grudge against me, but they fight me again, and I gain an anti-domain advancement, which I'm pretty sure I can't even use because I'm Toji. Once the sun was rising, I took care of a couple of weak cursed spirits left from the night, but this weird curse comes from behind me, looking like it's straight out of a horror movie. They're also kinda strong too, so it took me a minute to take them down. Yeah, this katana is pretty overpowered, but it's only a glimpse of the full power of Toji Fushiguro. I fight the special grade Cursed Spirit Hanami again, and they summon wood spears out of the ground, doing a good amount of damage. I counter with a knockback attack from the split soul katana, and follow up with a barrage, and they go down. Now, as you can see, I'm a grade 2 sorcerer, which means it's reward time. So I enter a building labeled grade 2 and head up the ladders. Inside the chest on the roof was this item called Barehanded Regeneration, which this mod made for Toji gives you weakness, invisibility, and regeneration when you have your fist out. It casts a cool black shadow on the character too, which fits the assassin theme. So I backflip off the building and head towards my next opponent. Eager for a fight, I ran across the whole city looking for someone worthy. Then I find Naobito Zenin, who was the head of the Zenin clan, which makes the perfect opponent. I start off the battle with a knockback attack, but they send me back with their frames technique. They were going to be a tricky opponent since being in air isn't helpful for Toji since I can't heal in the air. Then all of a sudden they disappear. I'm pretty sure they're stuck up there, but they might be gone by the time I go all the way up. I take the chance on it though and make my way up the building. Maki Zenin was on one of the floors, so I take them down real quick before I head to the roof. On the roof there was a graveyard and prison that spawned in a strange manner. In the prison, this curse called Legs, which also looks straight out of a horror movie, gets defeated. Not once but twice, letting me advance to grade 1 sorcerer, which means it's reward time. The finger bearer curse pushes me out, which means I won't fight for now. Go back to the Zenin house and the same curse that I beat earlier was still there. Now I head into the building called grade 1 to collect my reward and head down the stairs to find the chest. Inside the chest was the inventory curse spirit, which Toji uses, and I put it on. So now I have all of the tools which make me Toji. Well, not quite actually, there's still one chest reward waiting for me when I become a special grade. Checking one of the building floors, I find Geto again from earlier. He summons a ton of curses which make me low on health. So I have to tactically retreat, which is not to be confused with running away. Then he sends a blast flying through the walls and sends another round of curses, which do more damage. I hit him with a lot of barrage attacks, but as you can see, it's doing no damage. And honestly, when I do land a good amount of attacks, he just heals all of it back. We continue the battle underground, and I try to gain the upper hand by trapping him in a corner, but he just keeps on healing. Then he sends his final wave of curses and takes me down. Yeah, Geto is really strong, but no match for a fully awakened Toji, so stay tuned for that. I go back to the area, and just like earlier, he left. Angered by my loss, I search the tunnel system of the city for more curses in order to reach my full potential, and I find a few curses down there. After defeating a couple of them, I get Mastery of Domain Expansion, which is useless because Toji doesn't have one. This cursed spirit called Mammoth and his minions try to defeat me but fail badly. Looking for enemies, I find another weapon dropping cursed spirit, and this time it gives me a weapon called Dragon Bone. It does a good amount of damage, but not more than the split soul katana. But before he leaves, he does a ritual which summons a Shikigami called Maharaga, and they do a ton of damage. I use the fist to run away, thinking it makes me invisible, but just to find out, it doesn't make me invisible at all. And Maharaga lands a strong blow on me, taking me out. I fight Maki Zenin using her own weapon against her, which she finds disrespectful because she starts doing more damage than she usually does, but I still take her down. I find Sukuna and do a good amount of damage, but he summons this huge bird, and in that very moment I knew I was outclassed. Sukuna knocks me into the corner of the building, and with his attacks and noise lightning, I lose. I go back to fight and find Curse Spirit Mahito has arrived. Mahito and Sukuna go back and forth for a while, so in the meantime, while they're both distracted, I'm gonna try to heal. My plan was to heal and steal the kill from Sukuna, but turns out Mahito already lost to him. I saw that my plan failed, so I try to retreat, but he sends the demon dog after me. And just as I'm escaping, a random Curse Spirit finishes the job. Toge Inumaki blasts me away when I try to get near him, and this old man from Shibuya who does have a name, but isn't really important, so I I won't bother saying it. I defeat the old man with a few barrage attacks, but Toge uses curse speech to freeze me in place. Once I'm able to move, I go into the building to head to the higher floor, and my plan is to go up the building and attack him from a higher ground. My plan works, and Toge, not expecting me, gets defeated. Hit this innocent looking squid and he turned into Dagon, the special great cursed spirit of the sea. He unleashes a huge water orb, making it hard to stand my ground, and I land a couple of hits with my barrage attack. He summons a whole family of sharks on me, which do a decent amount of damage. But after he summons more sea creatures that do a lot more damage. I tried to run away to Hero real quick, but he traps me in his domain expansion. All, and I mean every single sea creature in all of human has attacked me, and I fall into the water on accident and lose. Losing to Dagon upset me, so I took it out on the Zenin clan's Nalia Zenin, but this time he was in his human form. With a couple barrage attacks, healing, and making sure not to take too much damage, Nalia was defeated and I get the achievement for it. Cruising through the city, I peek into the window and find Higuruma. Higuruma doesn't have his moves or domain in this mod yet, but if you've read the manga, you'd know Higuruma versus Toji would be a really interesting fight. For you anime onlys watching, just know that when season 3 comes out, he's gonna be one of your favorites. I see Todo in the distance and I need levels, so I fight him one last time. All he really does is hit me hard once, but besides that, I took care of him pretty easily. Seeking a greater challenge, I find a blindness cursed spirit and take it down. But Noritoshi Kamo appears, which was also pretty easy. I can feel I'm approaching the full state of my heavenly restriction. Only a few fights left. Hikari Kenji was someone I was not expecting to see, but apparently he's a work in progress in this mod. Being Toji, of course, I attempt to attack him. The only problem is that he literally can't take any damage because of his domain expansion. So I spend a lot of time hitting him for no reason because he literally cannot die. So Hikari wins the battle, but this is a good thing for now. I'll explain why in a few. I find Jogo, but because I'm not a special grade yet, I can't beat him. Luckily, Hikari joins the battle, meaning it's Toji and Hikari versus Jogo. Hikari distracts Jogo while I hit him with barrage attacks, and we go back and forth doing this for what seems like a while. Afterwards, it seems Jogo has had enough because he uses his maximum technique to unleash a meteor, and because the rubble from the structure above fell, I literally can't escape it, so the meteor lands, killing both me and Hikari. In the 4th floor of the building, I find another cursed womb called Eso, so I take it down with a few regular attacks. I find this divine dog again, and defeating it makes me uneasy. Under the tunnel, I find Naobito Zenin, who I hope to finally defeat after he keeps running away. His frame technique does a good amount of damage, and again, because it makes me levitate, I can't heal. Fighting him indoors makes it much easier compared to outside, but our battle does end up going out there though. But by this time, he's already low on health, so I'm able to take him down. After this, I also defeat Junichi Zenin and the other curse I had trouble pronouncing their name earlier, and defeat another special grade curse spirit. The AI of curse spirit Nalia is all over the place and honestly just does its own thing. Me and Hakuri are both confused, so I just walk away. Later that night, I find the Jujutsu school again, and because I'm Toji, I have to backflip onto the roof because it's mandatory. On the roof was a chest containing Yuta's sword and this strange black sword, which feels important to me somehow. I make my way down to the school and defeat the principal for like the 100th time. The Hanako cursed spirit tries doing the usual, summoning 1000 cursed spirits, but this time I defeat her easily. The cursed spirit Nalia also does what it usually does. It zooms across the city, attacking nothing and making it impossible for you to attack it. Luckily, it crashes into a building, which means it's stuck. Sadly though, he uses his domain expansion called Time Cell Moon Palace and takes me down, but there's someone else in the domain that seems important. Confused about why I think this character is important, I distract myself with the final challenger I have to defeat from the Zenin clan called Ogi Zenin. Send him flying throughout the building, knocking him through the walls. It seems like my strength is too much for him, and I get the achievement called Upper Rank 3 for taking him down. I go back to the prison, defeating a ton of curses, looking for the finger bearer. I find him and the battle begins. The finger bearer isn't really that strong, but you also can't let your guard down against him. He's also very creepy, randomly popping up behind walls, but with enough attacks, I take him down. I do this 3 more times because I figured out the prison has a spawner. On the last finger bearer, I accidentally blast him down to the city floor. I backflip down there and head towards him. This is the perfect time to showcase the animations from the Modpack I'm playing, so I'm gonna fight him in 3rd person. I rinse and repeat the process of hitting him, then chasing him, and backflip when I need to create space. I also use it to lunge towards the enemy quicker, but he predicts this and sends me flying. but with one more backflip into a barrage attack, I take him down. I was really happy about this outcome. I can feel it. With a few more enemies, I'm gonna be at the peak of my power. So I dash one last time, defeat Yuji, defeat a cool curse called Ganesha, get one-shotted by Yuki, and take down the Blindless curse, which makes me a special great sorcerer. I was given 2 orbs that contain the physically gifted power. I consume them and lose all cursed energy, gaining full heavenly restriction, and gain the ability called Run, which lets me fly around the city incredibly fast, but also does good damage. And another ability I get is this jump attack, which sends me flying, but when I slam down, I do a lot of damage. Now that I'm a special grade, it's time to claim the final reward. I go into the building labeled special grade, go down the ladders, and in the chest there's a split soul katana, inverted spear of heaven, and slaughter demon. And now with all of my weapons and full heavenly restriction, let the rampage to the one that left it all behind and his overwhelming intensity begin. I use my run and jump technique to move around the city looking for my final opponent. That's when I find Gojo Satoru, and he thinks he's invincible, but to his surprise, I'm able to pierce through infinity. That's because of the ability of the inverted spear of heaven, which negates all techniques. I use the barrage attacks to get some damage in. Gojo in shock uses red in order to counter, and does a good amount of damage himself. However, when I use my run technique, I'm literally too fast and he can't keep up with me. He uses red, knocking me into the building, and I get low, so I temporarily relocate in order to heal. It's the final battle. Whoever wins takes all, and we give it our all. I see I'm really low, but so is he, so I go for it. I dash into combat and I die. Turns out I defeat Gojo right before a random cursed spirit comes out of nowhere, meaning that I won. While having way too much fun with the run technique, I look back at my journey, thought about my highs and my lows, and that's when I realized something. That guy I fought earlier when I kept having strange feelings, turns out he was my son. Realizing this isn't my era and there's no place left here for me, I decide to leave it all behind and notice the last name he had. いいんじゃねえのか。よかったな。